The 19th century Prime Minister William Gladstone's ancestors, they are off travelling to the Caribbean to apologise for their ancestors' role in the slave trade. Look, Britain abolished slavery now quite some time ago, 1833. And I mean, we were one of the first people to do so we kind of led by example, many would say. Is it time now, Ben, to kind of say, right, the past is the past, let's move on?
It was always the time to say that. We should never have apologised for the slave trade, because the slave trade isn't something... In order to apologise, you have to have a victim to apologise to. That was 200 years ago we abolished the slave trade. And you have to have perpetrated the crime or the wrongdoing yourself. And no one alive today participated in the slave trade. And there's no one to apologise to. The whole thing is really simply an attack on British history. What people are trying to do is look over the fact that actually we, from a position of strength, when our empire was at its zenith, we took it upon ourselves to champion human rights and decide that slave trading was wrong. Ahead of the rest of the world, we abolished it, and then we spent the rest of the 19th century actually making sure the rest of the globe followed suit, that the people didn't break the law trading slaves. There isn't a single country in the world that hasn't traded slaves and hasn't had slaves as part of their cultural, history, in their history. And the United Kingdom should actually be proud of the fact that from that position of strength, it abolished it. So we should never apologise for it. But the people who wish us to apologise, wish to do the United Kingdom's history down, they wish to question our culture, they wish to attack our heritage, and they wish us to lose our self-confidence so that we become more compliant as a nation. This is nothing less than an attack on the United Kingdom. I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it's not. That's what this apology nonsense is all about.
Do you agree with that, Jo?
No, I don't. And I think, it's really important to remember that the British Empire was made and founded on slavery. Britain, along with Portugal, England, Portugal, were the biggest slave trading nations. And yes, we abolished it, but that is not an excuse for what we did. So every single person in this country and this country has benefited. Now, these people, the Gladstone family, like the Trevelyan's, that's entirely up to them. That's an entirely personal family matter. I do think there's a little bit of, virtue signalling, going back and apologising. And, somebody speaking from their castle and putting £100,000 into a research fund. But we've all benefited indirectly or directly from the profits and the industry that came out of the slave trade. We paid and only paid off that debt in the last 10, 20 years. We paid slave owners compensation for the loss of their property. That is absolutely disgusting.
Why is that disgusting?
Because people do not belong to other people.
Jo, we put these people out of business. That's what we did.
Quite right too.
And in those days,
they could have paid
when they were
people.
trading slaves, it wasn't illegal. It's not repugnant.
It is repugnant.
It's not repugnant that we stopped the trade and we compensated them for putting them out of business.
It is
What's repugnant is that we now look back at the 1800s through a prism of modern morality, whatever that is, and we judge them. And actually, if it wasn't for the steps taken in the early 1800s, you and I wouldn't be here having this debate. If it wasn't for people like, I'm going to digress, but it's equally important, Winston Churchill standing firm against Germany, you and I wouldn't be here having this debate. This country has a huge amount about which to be proud, including the abolition of the slave trade, and including standing up to tyranny across the world, including in Europe.
But it is repugnant in its very essence that one human being can own another one.
Well,
to the
of
point
course it is.
To the point.
But everyone in this day and age would agree with that. It is absolutely...
Yeah.
It's just we wouldn't be able to comprehend...
No.
Although, actually, there is a lot of modern slavery that still goes on.
Yes, but modern slavery is... This is actually taking people and keeping them in bondage.
It's abhorrent. It's absolutely abhorrent. No one would defend that. But hundreds and hundreds of years ago, it was for whatever reason, I wasn't there, so I don't know the thought processes that people had, but for whatever reason, right across the globe, that was what people were doing.
And they're still doing it.
But it doesn't make it right.
No,
and it doesn't make it any...
The question was, should we apologise?
Yes,
and
we
the minute
should.
you apologise, what you're doing is overlooking the phenomenal amount of good that we did by abolishing it.
Who do you want to apologise to?
I think Rishi Sunak, the current Prime Minister, should apologise.
To who?
He should apologise, particularly to the Caribbean nations, on behalf of Britain.
But he didn't do anything wrong, and none of them have suffered as a result of it.
But sometimes you have to take responsibility and say what we've just agreed. It was abhorrent. It is disgusting.
But Joe,
it is wrong. We apologise.
Where are the people calling out multiple states in Africa, multiple states in Eastern Europe, who still trade in people? What about the sex trade?
But then that's whataboutery.
That's going on right now.
Yes, I know it is.
This was abolished by us 200 years ago.
You know, and to go back to your favourite theme of the evening, we're not going to help people who are being trafficked as sex slaves under the Illegal Migration Act, are we?
What do you mean?
Well, people who are escaping, who come here illegally.
Well, they're in France. They're already safe. They should stay in France.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
OK. But I'm sorry, but I think it is so disgusting, and I think it is a stain on our history, and I think anybody who holds it up as, you know, the great British Empire, it is very convenient that we say we were a great empire, we've done wonderful things, and we abolished slavery, but we made an awful lot of money out of it.
And Joe thinks the answer to that is for Rishi Sunak, a man that absolutely had nothing to do with it hundreds of years later, saying sorry to people that absolutely also were not there hundreds of years ago. Do you agree with that? Is that what you would like Rishi Sunak to do? Do you think that would hold weight? Would it make amends for past, perhaps, wrongs? You get in touch with me, you let me know.